Intro to Scope 3 Emissions Categories. Defining your corporate value chain emissions. This overview video will explore each of the 15 Scope 3 emissions categories with examples. Additionally, we'll provide links to corporate accounting and reporting standards and resources to help you identify sustainability projects that can reduce both emissions and costs. Subscribe to our channel for the latest industry updates and insights. Like our videos to stay informed and support our content. Please share the corporate sustainability topics that matter most to you in the comments below, and we'll strive to create content addressing them in the near future. First, let's define what Scope 3 emissions are. Scope 3 emissions are indirect greenhouse gas emissions that occur in a company's value chain, both upstream and downstream, but are not directly owned or controlled by the company. These emissions include upstream emissions from activities such as the production of purchased goods and services, transportation and distribution, waste disposal, and employee commuting. Downstream emissions from the use of sold products, end-of-life treatment of sold products, and investments. Scope 3 is often the largest source of emissions for many companies and can be challenging to measure and manage due to its broad and complex nature. The leading standard for Scope 3 emissions accounting and reporting is the Corporate Value Chain, Scope 3 standard by the Greenhouse Gas Protocol. This standard helps companies assess their entire value chain's emissions impact and pinpoint areas for reduction. For more details, visit Corporate Value Chain, Scope 3 Standard, GHG Protocol. The GHG Protocol also offers detailed guidance on each of the 15 Scope 3 categories. The 15 categories of Scope 3 emissions are as follows. Number 1, purchased goods and services. Number 2, capital goods. Number 3, fuel and energy-related activities. Number 4, upstream transportation and distribution. Number 5, waste generated in operations. Number 6, business travel. Number 7, employee commuting. Number 8, upstream leased assets. Number 9, downstream transportation and distribution. Number 10, processing of sold products. Number 11, use of sold products. Number 12, end-of-life treatment of sold products. Number 13, downstream leased assets. Number 14, franchises. And lastly, number 15, investments. Scope 3 emissions vary by industry and are concentrated in different categories. For instance, the appliance industry averages 89.9% of its total emissions in Scope 3 Category 11, use of sold products. Leaders should prioritize sustainability projects targeting the Scope 3 categories with the highest emissions to achieve the greatest return on investment in emissions reduction. Now let's dive into each of the 15 Scope 3 categories and outline examples. Number 1, purchased goods and services. All upstream, i.e., cradle-to-gate, emissions from the production of raw materials, parts, and products purchased or acquired by the reporting company in the reporting year. Products include both goods, tangible products, and services, intangible products. Number 2, capital goods. All upstream, i.e., cradle-to-gate, emissions from the production of capital goods purchased or acquired by the reporting company in the reporting year. Emissions from the use of capital goods by the reporting company are accounted for in either Scope 1, e.g. for fuel use, or Scope 2, e.g. for electricity use, rather than in Scope 3. Number 3, fuel and energy-related activities. Emissions related to the production of fuels and energy purchased and consumed by the reporting company in the reporting year that are not included in Scope 1 or Scope 2. Number 4, upstream transportation and distribution. Emissions from transportation and distribution of raw materials, parts, and products purchased in the reporting year. Between a company's Tier 1 suppliers and its own operations in vehicles not owned or operated by the reporting company. Including multimodal shipping where multiple carriers are involved in the delivery of a product, but excluding fuel and energy products. Number 5, waste generated in operations. Emissions from third-party disposal and treatment of waste generated in the reporting company's owned or controlled operations in the reporting year. This category includes emissions from disposal of both solid waste and wastewater. Number 6, business travel. Emissions from the transportation of employees for business-related activities in vehicles owned or operated by third parties, such as aircraft, trains, buses, and passenger cars. Number 7, employee commuting. Emissions from the transportation of employees between their homes and their work sites. Number 8, upstream leased assets. Emissions from the operation of assets that are leased by the reporting company in the reporting year and not already included in the reporting company's Scope 1 or Scope 2 inventories. This category is applicable only to companies that operate leased assets, i.e., lessees. Number 9. Downstream transportation and distribution. Emissions that occur in the reporting year from transportation and distribution of sold products in vehicles and facilities not owned or controlled by the reporting company. Number 10. Processing of sold products. Emissions from processing of sold intermediate products by third parties, e.g., manufacturers, subsequent to sale by the reporting company. Intermediate products are products that require further processing, transformation, or inclusion in another product before use, and therefore result in emissions from processing subsequent to sale by the reporting company and before use by the end consumer. Number 11. Use of sold products. Emissions from the use of goods and services sold by the reporting company in the reporting year. A reporting company's Scope 3 emissions from use of sold products include the Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions of end users. Number 12. End-of-life treatment of sold products. Emissions from the waste disposal and treatment of products sold by the reporting company in the reporting year at the end of their life. This category includes the total expected end-of-life emissions from all products sold in the reporting year. Number 13. Downstream leased assets. Emissions from the operation of assets that are owned by the reporting company, acting as lessor, and leased to other entities in the reporting year that are not already included in Scope 1 or Scope 2. Number 14. Franchises. Emissions from the operation of franchises not included in Scope 1 or Scope 2. A franchise is a business operating under a license to sell or distribute another company's goods or services within a certain location. Number 15. Investments. Emissions associated with the reporting company's investments in the reporting year, not already included in Scope 1 or Scope 2. Understanding your company's largest Scope 3 categories is crucial for business leaders at all levels. Developing carbon reduction plans for these key areas is essential to meet government regulations, customer requirements, and consumer expectations. Professionals who excel in identifying, managing, and reporting on sustainability and emissions reduction projects will be highly valued in the future. Looking for ideas to reduce your company's Scope 3 emissions? Sign up for your free trial of Orbade software today, so you can start receiving sustainability project ideas that improve both your environmental impact and business profits in minutes, not months.